there, I'm Amy.Connell. Welcome to Graced Health, the podcast for women who want simple and grace-filled ways to take care of themselves and enjoy a little chocolate as well. I'm a certified personal trainer and nutrition coach who wants you to know your eating, movement, and body don't have to be perfect. You just need to be able to do what you're called to do. I'd like to also welcome those of you who are watching on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in, and this is the unedited version of this episode. Today's question on this Ask the Trainer episode, which is where I answer questions you may have about your eating, movement, or how they work together, is should I train before or after I go to work? Or maybe that's should I exercise before or after I go to work? I get this question often. And before I tell you the answer or what my answer is, what I would like to do is to give you a few things to consider. The reality is we all have different biorhythms. We have different things that are important to us. And okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and get into this. So a couple things to think about. Number one, what is realistic? If you are a night owl and you come alive at 9 or 10 p.m., first of all, I don't really understand that. That does not compute in my world, but I know some people are. And so I want to honor that and I respect that but that's just not how I am. But if you are a night owl, then perhaps getting up and getting your workout in before you go to work is not very realistic because your body and your biorhythms are going to be begging you to hit the snooze button. Sometimes hitting the snooze button is normal. It's fine. I don't shame anyone for doing that. But if you're hitting the snooze button every single time and you're not getting out of bed, then you're actually not exercising before you go to work. You're just interrupting the last 30 minutes or 60 minutes of your sleep. And we don't want to do that. So what's realistic? Likewise, like for me, working out at 9 p.m. is that does not compute either because I'm an early bird. I like to go to sleep early and get up early. So I think that's one thing to consider is how realistic is a rhythm of getting up early and exercising or exercising after a full day of work. Your work may be walking around teaching young children all day. That's exhausting, by the way, and thank you. It's been a tough year. Your job may be having you in front of a judge, trying cases. Your job may be crunching numbers all day. And so that type of mental stimulation is going to affect our bodies in different ways because our brain uses a lot of our energy. Our brain actually uses 20% of the carbohydrates we intake, just as a little side note. So yeah, you may be totally spent by the end of the day. So that's something to consider as well. But just think about what's realistic for you in terms of what you can do in a sustainable, long-term manner. Something else to think about is how does your workout make you feel? And I would say approach this from a physical standpoint as well as a mental standpoint. I hear a lot of people saying, oh my gosh, I get on the Peloton or I go to a spin class or I go for a run and I come back and I'm ready for the day. And we've got those endorphins that are going and you're just jazzed up. You're ready for the day. And that's fantastic. I also hear people say, man, when I strength train, I am done. Like I can't even lift a pin to work when I'm done. So depending on what your type of movement is and what when you do that, you may want to consider that in terms of if you exercise before you go to work or not. Someone I remember I was speaking one time, she raised her hand. She said, well, when's the best time to work out? Because if I get up and I'm doing a spin class or indoor cycling class, then I just feel really jazzed up for the day. But if I do it after the work, then I get really jazzed up and then I can't sleep. And I'm like, well, there's your answer. Do it in the beginning of the day when you want to capitalize on that energy. The other thing to think about is what type of movement does your mind need and how are you going to relate to that? I used to run fitness classes in our group fitness or in our neighborhood gym. And we had a bar class there and the instructor was phenomenal. Everybody loved her and everybody loved bar classes, but the attendance on that was just a little bit lower because it was more of a mind-body experience, and particularly the way that this instructor did it. And so sometimes we want that when we are getting up first thing. We want to just kind of center our mind. We want to center our soul. But sometimes we would rather be a little bit more energized. And so, what kind of movement do you like to do? And how does that correlate to what the rest of your day looks like? Maybe yoga would be fantastic to do at the end of your day because it just kind of calms you down. It decreases your breathing, it decreases your heart rate, and it just kind of helps you wind down. That you may not want that before you go to work. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. So assess what kind of movement you're going to do and when you're doing it and how it makes you feel physically and mentally as well. And then the final thing I would encourage you to consider is, how does fueling play a part? And I specifically mean that with regard to working out or exercising later in the day. I used to teach indoor cycling classes, and this is before I really totally understood the how integrated food and our energy usage is. So I would go teach this indoor cycling class, and then I would come home and I had dinner before I went to class. And so I didn't have anything else. And I woke up ready to eat my arm off. I was starving so much because I didn't refuel after that workout. I have a friend who just decided to kind of mix things up and try something. And she said, "Oh, I'm going to go for she went for a 6-mile run at like 7 o'clock." And she goes to bed early as well. And she said, "I had to get up in the middle of the night and have some cereal because I was so hungry." So make sure, depending on when you choose to move, and when I say move, I also mean workout, I also mean exercise, but move just sounds more joyful. It just is a better word. But when you choose to move, make sure that you have the time to refuel your body with those God-given foods, with carbohydrates, with protein. And that way, that sets you up well for the next day, that sets you up well for the next workout. So should you exercise before work or after work? The answer is, what's best for you. What makes you feel the best, what gives you the most energy, and will make you feel the most successful. So as usual, I don't have a hard and fast answer. However, those are some things to consider when you are thinking about your schedule and about when you want to exercise. Okay, that is all for today. Go out there and have a graced day.